Jake Wilson wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag and glanced at the clock on the wall of his small auto repair shop. It was nearly 6 p.m., and the rain outside was coming down in sheets. The shop, a modest building with peeling paint and a flickering neon sign that read Wilson's Auto Repair, was quiet except for the sound of rain tapping against the windows. Business had been slow lately, and Jake was starting to worry about how he'd make ends meet this month. He sighed and leaned against the hood of the car he'd been working on, a beat-up sedan that belonged to Mrs. Henderson, one of his regular customers. She was a sweet old lady who always paid in cash but could barely afford the repairs. Jake had given her a discount, as he often did for those in need. It wasn't the first time he'd put others before himself, and it wouldn't be the last. But with bills piling up and the shop's equipment in desperate need of upgrades, Jake couldn't help but feel the weight of his struggles. As he was about to close up for the day, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway caught his attention. He looked up to see a sleek, black luxury car with a dented fender and a cracked headlight. The car was out of place in his humble shop, and Jake couldn't help but wonder what had brought its owner here. The driver's side door opened, and a young woman stepped out. She was dressed casually in jeans and a hoodie, her dark hair pulled into a messy bun. Despite her simple attire, there was an air of elegance about her that Jake couldn't quite place. She looked around the shop nervously before her eyes landed on Jake. "Hi," she said, her voice soft but confident. "I'm sorry to show up so late, but my car broke down on the highway, and this was the only place I could find that was still open." Jake gave her a warm smile. "No problem at all. I was just about to close, but I can take a look at it for you. What seems to be the issue?" The woman hesitated, as if unsure how much to share. "I'm not really sure. It started making this weird noise, and then the engine just died. I managed to pull over, but I couldn't get it started again." Jake nodded, already mentally running through the possibilities. "All right, let's take a look. I'm Jake, by the way." "Sophia," she replied, shaking his hand. Her grip was firm and her eyes held a hint of curiosity as she studied him. Jake grabbed his toolbox and walked over to the car. He popped the hood and began inspecting the engine, his trained eyes quickly spotting the problem. "Looks like your alternator's shot," he said, after a few minutes. "And there's some damage to the wiring from the fender impact. It's fixable, but it's going to take some time." Sophia frowned. "How long?" "A couple of days, maybe," Jake said. "I'll need to order the parts and the wiring will take some work." Sophia bit her lip, looking worried. "I really need the car as soon as possible." "Is there any way you can speed things up?" Jake hesitated. He could tell she was in a tough spot, and he didn't want to let her down. "I'll do my best," he said finally. "I'll start on it first thing tomorrow and see if I can get the parts delivered faster." Sophia's face lit up with relief. "Thank you so much. I really appreciate it." Jake gave her another smile. "It's no trouble. Now let's talk about the cost." As he ran through the numbers in his head, Jake couldn't help but notice the way Sophia's expression tightened when he mentioned the price. He knew the repairs would be expensive. Luxury cars always were, but he also sensed that money might be an issue for her. Maybe she was borrowing the car from a friend or family member. Whatever the case, Jake didn't want to add to her stress. "Tell you what," he said, lowering the estimate significantly. "I'll do it for this much. I know it's still a lot, but it's the best I can do." Sophia's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you sure? That seems really low." Jake shrugged. "I like to help people out when I can. Consider it a rainy day discount." Sophia studied him for a moment, as if trying to figure him out. Then she nodded. "Thank you, Jake. That means a lot." After Sophia left, Jake locked up the shop and headed home. His small apartment above the garage was cluttered but cozy, filled with tools, car parts, and a few personal mementos. He made himself a quick dinner and sat down at the kitchen table, his mind wandering back to Sophia. There was something about her that intrigued him, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. The next morning, Jake was up early, ready to tackle the repairs. He ordered the parts he needed and got to work, carefully dismantling the damaged alternator and repairing the wiring. It was a challenging job, but Jake thrived on the work. He loved the feeling of solving a problem and making something broken whole again. As he worked, he couldn't help but think about Sophia. He wondered what her story was and why she seemed so anxious about the car. Maybe she was a student, or maybe she was going through a tough time. Whatever it was, Jake was determined to help her however he could. By the end of the second day, the car was almost ready. Jake had gone above and beyond, polishing the exterior and fixing a few minor issues he'd noticed along the way. He wanted to make sure Sophia was completely satisfied with the job. When Sophia returned to pick up the car, Jake was nervous. He always felt that way when handing over a repaired vehicle, but this time it was different. He wanted to make a good impression, though he wasn't sure why. Sophia inspected the car, her eyes lighting up as she saw the repairs. "Wow, Jake, this looks amazing. You really went above and beyond." Jake shrugged modestly. "Just doing my job." Sophia handed him the payment, but Jake noticed she had included extra money, far more than the agreed-upon amount. Confused, he tried to return the excess, but Sophia stopped him. "You undercharged me," she said with a smile. "I know how much these repairs actually cost. You could have taken advantage of me, but you didn't. That's rare." Jake was stunned. "I just wanted to help," he said humbly. "I didn't think you could afford the full cost." Sophia laughed softly. "That's the thing. I can. I'm Sophia Carter, CEO of Carter Industries. I've been traveling incognito, looking for someone honest and kind. And I found you." Jake stared at Sophia, his mind struggling to process her words. CEO of Carter Industries? He had heard of the company, of course. It was one of the largest conglomerates in the country, with interests in everything from technology to real estate. But the idea that the woman standing in front of him, dressed in jeans and a hoodie, was its CEO seemed impossible. "You're Sophia Carter?" Jake asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. Sophia smiled, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Yes, I am. I know it's hard to believe, but I like to travel incognito sometimes. It helps me see the world, and the people in it, more clearly." Jake shook his head, still trying to wrap his mind around it. "But why would someone like you come to a small-town mechanic shop? You could have gone anywhere." "That's exactly why I came here," Sophia replied. "I've been looking for someone with integrity, someone who values honesty and hard work over profit. And I found you." Jake felt a mix of emotions, pride, confusion, and a hint of nervousness. "I don't know what to say," he admitted. "I just did what I thought was right." "And that's exactly what makes you special," Sophia said. "In my line of work, I meet a lot of people who are willing to cut corners or take advantage of others to get ahead. But you're different, and I want to offer you an opportunity." Jake's heart raced. "An opportunity?" Sophia nodded. "Yes. I'd like you to join Carter Industries as the head of our automotive division. You'd oversee our operations, develop new projects, and help us innovate in the industry. And you'd still be able to run your shop here if you want. I'll even invest in it to help you expand and modernize." Jake was speechless. This was the kind of opportunity he had never dared to dream of, but at the same time he felt a pang of uncertainty. He loved his small shop and the community he served. Could he really leave it behind? I don't know," Jake said slowly. "This is all so sudden. I'm just a small-town mechanic. I don't know if I'm ready for something like this." Sophia placed a hand on his arm, her expression sincere. "Jake, I wouldn't have offered this if I didn't believe in you. You have the skills, the work ethic, and the integrity to succeed, and I'll be there to support you every step of the way." Jake took a deep breath, his mind racing. This could be the chance of a lifetime, a way to provide for himself and his community in ways he never thought possible. But it would also mean stepping into a world he knew nothing about. "Can I think about it?" he asked finally. "Of course," Sophia said. "Take your time, but know this. I see something special in you, Jake, and I'd be honored to have you on my team." Over the next few days, Jake couldn't stop thinking about Sophia's offer. He talked to his friends and family, seeking their advice. Most of them encouraged him to take the opportunity, but a few warned him about the risks of leaving his comfort zone. In the end, it was Mrs. Henderson who helped him make up his mind. She came into the shop one afternoon, her car running smoothly thanks to Jake's repairs. As they chatted, she mentioned how much she appreciated his honesty and dedication. "You've always been there for us, Jake," she said, "but maybe it's time for you to do something for yourself. You've got a gift, and it's only right that you share it with the world." Her words struck a chord with Jake. He realized that by taking this opportunity, he could not only improve his own life, but also make a bigger impact on the people around him. With renewed determination, he called Sophia and accepted her offer. Sophia was true to her word. She invested in Jake's shop, helping him upgrade the equipment and expand the space. She also introduced him to the world of Carter Industries, where he quickly proved himself to be a valuable asset. His innovative ideas and hands-on experience brought a fresh perspective to the company, and he soon became a respected leader in the automotive division. But Jake never forgot his roots. He continued to run his shop, using it as a training ground for aspiring mechanics and a place to give back to the community. He offered free repairs to those in need and sponsored scholarships for local students interested in the automotive industry. Sophia often visited the shop, impressed by Jake's dedication and the impact he was making. "You've done an amazing job, Jake," she said one day as they stood outside the newly renovated building. "I knew I made the right choice." Jake smiled, feeling a sense of pride and gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you, Sophia. You believed in me when no one else did." Sophia shook her head. "I just gave you the opportunity. You're the one who made it happen." Years later, Jake's shop had become a cornerstone of the community, known not just for its excellent service, but also for its commitment to helping others. Jake had also risen through the ranks at Carter Industries, becoming a key figure in the company's success. But the most important thing to Jake was the impact he had made on the people around him. He had inspired countless others to believe in the power of honesty, hard work, and kindness. And he had proven that even the smallest acts of integrity could lead to life-changing opportunities. As he stood outside his shop one evening, watching the sunset, Jake thought about how far he had come. He had started as a struggling mechanic, just trying to make ends meet. But thanks to a chance encounter with a stranger and his own unwavering values, he had built a life he could be proud of. And he knew that no matter where life took him next, he would always stay true to the principles that had brought him this far.